Hello, everybody. This is Xander Breach, and this is the start of my series of my weight loss journey. Before I continue, I would like to point out that there will be no mentioning of names here due to the fact that I do not want to get sued. That's one. Two, there will be some content in here that may not be suitable for everybody, so I would embrace yourself. And three, lyrics of my songs will be mentioned. Maybe not the lyrics, but the song titles will be mentioned because the songs relate to certain parts of the story. So, on with the story. I remember it, I was in middle school, and it was the start of the 2000 to 2001 school year. And I was in 7th grade, and I remember that was the start of me really learning what life was like being an out of shape teenager. Started off nice and easy, and then it just got worse by the minute. I thought my life as a teenager was going to be fun, but being out of shape, not so much. When I started going to that school, I had a very nice teacher. I met up with a friend I knew in grade school, and I also made some new friends and learned some valuable lessons on dating. Like, for one, society had it back then that looks were everything. If you didn't look good, you didn't have a chance. Or you did, but with someone who looked equally like you or worse. I, on the other hand, was very shallow. I liked the cute girls, but the cute girls wanted nothing to do with me. I got rejected a lot, and I remember being off the side, not really joining in at the school dances or dancing with a girl, and if I danced with a girl, it'd just be like for friends only. I remember my mom telling me that I wasn't allowed to date till I was 16. Well, unfortunately, it stayed like that, but my mindset was getting a girlfriend beforehand. But considering I couldn't get a date, I had to follow the rule anyways, whether I liked it or not. So, if you want to know this now, one of my songs I've done on previous videos relates to my 7th grade year. It is Friend Zone. You have the song, then you have the story behind it. So if you want to go into the story of my dating life a little more in 7th grade or in 8th grade, look up that song. It's on my channel, the video to the song, and the video to the stories behind it. So now on with the story. I do recall a lot of the things I did in that school was pretty cool. I mean, I was in ESC classes, and excuse me for that. I only maybe had 2 classes that I had to go to that were separate from the ESC classes. Plus, I was going to lunch on my own. Teacher wasn't holding my hand to go to lunch. I went to lunch on my own. And it was fun. And I learned that being a middle schooler had its challenges. And I almost failed the 7th grade, believe it or not. I did. But with a motivating teacher and a mother who didn't play around, I actually passed it with flying colors. And when I did, I remember just another accomplishment. Now I got into the 8th grade. I don't want to get way into detail with 7th grade, but to end this by saying I did meet a good friend of mine in the art class I went to, and we hung out a lot. He was going through something similar to me, and we would talk a lot, we would laugh a lot. He was like probably one of the best friends anyone could ask for in middle school. Art teacher was amazing. I really did like art class. I mean, it had its challenges, but I really liked art class because then I can be creative and, put my creative mind to good use. So, on with 8th grade. I do recall the start of 8th grade was a big time for me because it was like senior year for middle school. And when I started 8th grade, I started very well. But once again, the challenges and life lessons were soon about to unravel and get much, much more. Much, much more. Maybe worse and better. So, I recall 8th grade art class. So, let me tell you a couple stories with that art class. When I was in that art class, I had a crush on one girl. I was actually at a table with two other girls that I moved to, and they wanted me to, like, hey, you want to go to a different table? I'm like, no, you two seem cool. But what I was about to realize is that I was going to become an annoyance to these two girls. And they were going to take advantage of me and make me look like a slave to the art teacher. In other words, nothing intimate, nothing sexual. More like we were supposed to clean the table and take turns. And I was the one doing all the cleaning. Yeah. I was the one doing all the cleaning. And before the art teacher discovered what they were doing, I remember the girl I liked and how she had a boyfriend. And I mentioned that to one of the girls, and she rudely told me, because society was all about back then, looks are everything. If you didn't have the good looks, you can't have the pretty girlfriend. You had to settle for someone equal to you or much worse. So she looked at me dead in the face and she's like, looks are everything. Don't you know that? Or are everything. And I'm like looking at her, I'm like, you didn't have to be rude about it. Kind of put two and two together. So I ended up, dealing with these two girls and how rude they were. I would do my artwork and they would comment rudely on it. I had to deal with biting my tongue at times and ignoring. I had to deal with a girl that I thought liked me, which wasn't in the table I was sitting in, but another girl tricked me into thinking she liked me, and no one admitted to it. Man, no one admitted to it at all. It was like, really? I had my hopes up for nothing. So, what happened is I was slowly learning being out of shape was not fun, but what these people didn't realize is that their cruelty and their insults would later motivate me to find a way to get in shape. And it would help me motivate myself to where a light bulb would click and I would use every negativity to do something positive with my life. May I remind you, this is where the motivation was slowly going to begin. Remembering these days. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. So, yeah, art class was not fun. But the one thing I did that I terribly regret is I had a kid in my class that was going through a much more harder time than me, and he had a hard time making friends. I was his friend at first, but he annoyed me. There was a point he annoyed me, and I got to not liking him. And may I remind you, I'm sad to say I was a bit of a jerk to this guy, but not as a jerk you think. And yes, unfortunately, I was a bit of a bully to him. Not the kind of bully that picked on people, nitpicked, da 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 da. No, I hated that. I was the kind of bully that gave him the cold shoulder, wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't give him the time of day. And I would talk about him to my other friend who was gradually getting me into the bully phase, and I would make him feel bad. I'm sure he's probably watching this video of wherever he is and probably laughing about this, but it wasn't funny then. And, I should have done a lot of things differently with him, but I didn't. And I later found out this kid I was a jerk to, yes, that's right, your nice boy was a jerk back then, ended up having something in common with me. I wanted to learn the Spanish language itself. He wanted to learn Spanish language and music. And we had that in common. A little different, but we had the whole fact of learning a language in common. And it made me change my thought process about it. So, to be nice, we all wrote a card and signed it to say goodbye to him because he was leaving to go somewhere else. He was moving to another school, another new place. And I think the only person who meant what he said, or she said, was myself. He came back to visit the school months later, and I remember no one would go to say hi to him. Nobody but me. I meant what I said when I apologized to that guy. I told him I was sorry for the way I was. I told him I didn't mean to, and I went up to him and I said hi. And I had that heart because I was wrong for what I did and I didn't want to follow what everyone else was doing. And yeah, I almost failed the 8th grade, not to mention. Ooh, I wasn't doing my assignments correctly. I had a hard time with math. I was also not wearing my glasses I was supposed to wear that much because I got prescribed glasses that year. I had braces. Well, I had braces beforehand, but I was extremely out of shape, and wearing glasses with braces being out of shape made me feel like a super dork, and I was already insecure about my appearance anyways. Wearing baggy jeans, shirts that were really big, and it was basically displaying my gut, but it was also hiding my gut. I was a very insecure person back then. So, yeah, I almost failed 8th grade, and lucky for me, I got on the bandwagon and motivated myself to get on working on passing 8th grade because I didn't want to repeat the grade again. So I motivated myself, and that's exactly what I did. So, with that said, this is the start of me, my journey. And I wasn't really motivated to losing weight, but I did love to dance. And I started to really get into dancing in my room and playing the boot box I had. And I really got into doing that as exercise, but wasn't following the diet, so technically it didn't work. So I would like to end this by saying that this is the first part, and I did fortunately pass 8th grade, and I look forward to telling you the next part. You take care. Have a God blessed day.